Hello everybody, Loves Mitchy back with another vlog! This is my third one. I'm getting good at this. I've just been watching an episode of Adventure Time, which is like my second favourite cartoon ever after Fairly Odd Parents. And in this particular episode, Finn and Jake, Princess Bubblegum, LSP, Cinnamon Bun and BMO, I think it was, all went to a big old mansion for like a masked ball sort of thing. But it turns out to be more of like a murder mystery party. The entire episode is all kind of ghosts and spooky things going on, and it really reminded me of when I was a kid. I went to Alton Towers once, with what, 3 times, but on the third time we went, this is like 3 years running, it was me and my dad, and we went on the Haunted House ride thingy, which for those of you who've never been to Alton Towers, it's like, it's got a bit of a story behind it. It's the usual sort of haunted house ride, but the story goes that a professor was doing something to do with zombies and dead bodies and stuff, and he accidentally put a curse down on himself or something on those lines, and he was dragged off by zombies. Now, as you get on the ride, the cars all have like guns on them, and you can pick them up and it'll bring up a little like LED scoreboard, and as you're going through the ride, everything has these little like LED targets on them, and you've got to shoot them and you get points for every one you shoot. And we went on this the second year and the third year. It's a lot of fun. I mean, back then I was terrified of it because I used to be very easily scared of everything. I'm not even kidding, everything terrified me. There was nothing I could do without being scared. Even video games, like even if it wasn't a Halloween or a scary level on a video game, I'd still be scared of it. Like Banjo-Kazooie, which is my favourite game of all time. The entire game terrified me when I was a kid. I was too scared to like go up to an enemy and try to beat it or something like that. I just wouldn't do it. The second time we went on this ride, guess what happened? It broke down as we were halfway through it. But it wasn't just like the entire thing stopped. It was just the cars that stopped. All the ghosts and ghoulies were still moving normally, and I was just there, poor little 11-year-old me, kind of going, I'm scared. And all the sound effects were still working and everything. And there was where we stopped, there was like a horse-drawn hearse, I think it was, without the horse, in front of us, and the Undertaker, hearse driver, I don't know, was there, and he was zombified, and he was gesturing just constantly like this, they come towards me, and all that kind of crap, and just being kind of sat there, staring at this thing for ages and ages. It's absolutely terrifying, especially when you're only about yay high. The hell was that the people sat in front of us on the same car. Obviously they either didn't realise or didn't care that there was a small child behind them, and they were just swearing their gobs off. They were like, oh, this is fucking shit and all this crap. Just calm down, it's a ride, it breaks from time to time. And then eventually the sound effects turned off, and some actual employees at the park appeared and let everyone out, and they gave us all free fast track passes, and we all got onto the, well, me and my dad got on the Runaway Mine Train, which is my favourite ride at Alton Towers back then. I haven't been since I was 11, so that's like nearly 9 years now. So we got free passes for the Runaway Mine Train and I was so happy. But we went back home that night, and I live about 100 miles away from Alton Towers. And when we got back home, I went to bed, as I usually do, late at night when I was 11, and I couldn't get to sleep because I just had like the soundtrack for the Haunted House playing in my head, and I was so scared I just couldn't get it out of my head, so I had to go down and kind of sit in the living room with my dad for hours and hours before I could actually drift off, and I was just so scared. I don't like it, Dad. Obviously my dad had no sympathy whatsoever, as he never does, and apparently, I don't remember this because I was only 4 years old, but when we went to Disney Paris for the first time ever, I've only actually been there once, so yeah, Disneyland Paris when I was 4 years old, and we went on the Haunted House ride there, and it didn't break down or anything, but I was so scared, I was terrified of the whole thing, and obviously I don't remember any of this, but my mum's always saying, oh no, you used to be so scared of everything when you were little, oh, you cried and cried on the Haunted House ride at Disney, so, oh, I don't need to hear this, no. I don't know why though, but at some point in my life I just stopped being scared of things. Like nowadays when I watch a horror film, it just goes straight over my head most of the time. It's just like, what was I watching? The Japanese version of The Ring, the original one. I think it's meant to be more psychological horror than anything else, but I did not find it scary at all. And this was while all my friends were like rolling around on the floor, like screaming their heads off, like, oh my god! And all this crap. Just, no, it wasn't scary. Another one, the remake of A Stranger Calls, I think it was. A friend of mine who's really hard, she watched that and she was terrified. So she got me to watch it thinking I'd be terrified too, and I was just like, I just don't find things scary. I've been playing Amnesia The Dark Descent a bit lately. I say a bit, I'm maybe about 2/3 of the way through it. I'm in the sewers almost. I think that's about 2/3 of the way through it. I may have misjudged it. Anyway, yeah, I'm in there. And I do find it scary, but maybe not to the extent that other people have done. But that's probably only because I've watched that many playthroughs of the actual game and of custom stories and everything. I'm a huge fan of PewDiePie and Cry and all those people. In fact, I got into watching LPs because of Amnesia The Dark Descent, really. Anyway, yeah, and it is scary. But I think that's because more I have an effect on that world. Like, because I'm doing something in that world, I get into it, I'm immersed in it, and I get scared by it. With films, it's not as easy to be immersed because you have no impact on it. You are just watching it, which isn't necessarily scary. I mean, when you're watching something in a cinema or in a darkened room with a big TV, then things do tend to get a little more immersive. But I think the problem with watching both The Ring and A Stranger Calls is I was in a room full of people who weren't paying that much attention, or if they were talking over it and kind of distracting me from it. So I didn't really find it that scary. Another thing I'm playing at the moment, and I kind of went over this in my last vlog very briefly, is Dead Space. Those games, or at least the second one, is meant to be the scariest game of all time. I haven't played the second one yet, but the first one, I found it really boring more than anything else. It's not scared me at all. Even moments like when a monster's creeping up on you and you turn around and suddenly it's there in your face, that doesn't scare me, and I'm usually really like susceptible to jump scares. But no, it just... no! Don't care at all. It's a monster, it's coming at me menacingly. That happens in a lot of games, just because it's kind of all spikes and tentacles and deformed facial features. Just, no, it's not scary. And I watched The Woman in Black. I wasn't really paying attention to it. But that's got quicksand in it, or mud, bogs, whatever. The sinking into the ground is something that really freaks me out. I don't know why. Since before I can remember, I've been afraid of that sort of thing. Like, when I was very, very little, me and my mum and my dad were walking along. I don't know if this was before we got our first dog or after. Maybe it was after, and then we were walking here or something. But we went through a muddy patch, and one of my wellies got stuck in the mud. And my dad went back and pulled it out, and everything, and it was all fine. But I just screamed and cried and everything, and I just wasn't having it. I was terrified of the fact that my boot got stuck in some mud. That's normal. It happens. I mean, obviously I was kind of really little and didn't understand that at the time, but I think because of that very small happening, I've become kind of scarred, and I'm just constantly afraid of quicksand now. I don't know. Also, channel hopping at the worst time onto caveman films and stuff like that is not a good thing. There's one film, prehistoric, I can't remember the name of it, but all the characters speak in like made up caveman language. At the very end, this one girl who had been kind of like a bitch throughout the entire thing, she's running along the beach and suddenly just into the sand, gone. Just like that. And I remember channel hopping across the TV channels back in the day when they were only 5 and seeing this scene just kind of as I was flicking past, and it terrified me because I hate quicksand and that kind of thing. It's just something that really freaks me out. I don't know why though. I cannot actually say why it freaks me out. I mean, it is a kind of nasty thing. Drowning in water I'm fine with because it's liquid. You're meant to drown in, well, you're not meant to drown in water, but that's more of a normal thing than kind of drowning in what should be solid. It's like if I was walking across some tiles or something and suddenly yeah, gone. It's not supposed to happen. There are 2 kind of quicksand scenes in film and TV that I can watch and find quite funny. The one in the latest Indiana Jones film, which I enjoy. I know it's not great, but I like it. And one in a G1 Transformers episode where my favourite Transformer, Blair, gets stuck in quick mud, and because he talks really fast and he's panicking, and it's so funny. But yeah, no, I've always been scared of something. Particularly as a little kid, I was just scared of everything. But nowadays, just most of it just goes over my head, and I just don't care anymore. Whether I've just kind of grown some balls finally or something, I don't know really. But yeah, no, fear is a weird thing. But there are cases in which I've had my right to be scared, I think. Sharks and quicksand, I don't have a right to be scared of those, because I mean, how often am I going to come in close contact with either thing? Anyway, we've all got things we're afraid of, even if you don't want to admit it. I'm quite happy to admit my fears, because it's kind of part way to getting over them, really. I don't know if I'll ever get over these fears, because they're trivial, and I should do, really. It should be quite easy. But the more you talk about these things, the better it is. And one cure-all for anything, including fear, is chai green tea. Because it's the tastiest fucking thing ever. Right, anyway, I'm going to leave it there for today, guys. Hope you all enjoyed this weird little vlog about what I'm scared of and why. Subscribe, like, comment, and all that crap if you want to, at least. Thank you for watching, and goodbye!